So you
Sure.
have something to go back and look at. Okay, so just trying to figure out what you need to be doing better on your end to get into GM1, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Break me down your history, like how long you've been playing Overwatch. When did you start? What heroes did you main? What ranks have you hit in the past? Just fill me in on those details.
I started playing Overwatch 1 around Season 2. I think I
Uh-huh.
started around Silver. Oh wait, I lost connection. Yeah, I was basically around Silver playing Mei, Reaper.
Uh-huh.
Then I started playing with my friends more. Then I got into the game. And then as I played more and more, I get really hooked into the game and I really want to play the game seriously. So that's when I started learning, watching YouTube guides, and I made it to Diamond in the next season, then followed by Masters.
Okay. And when was this again? What season? When you hit Masters?
Season 4.
Season 4. So very early on. Okay. And then where did you go from there?
I just chilled with my friends at the lower ranks, smurfing for like 20 seasons.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And then from there, you when did you guess hit GM for the first time?
I think it was season 26. I hit GM barely on Korea servers.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say it's more of partially luck, cause I was on a consecutive winning streak then by then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Makes sense.
Then afterwards, around season 36 is when I started hitting GM more consistently. I was able to hit it without dropping down.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Mm.
And you're a tank player.
Yeah.
And ping on Korean service due to work, we'll be playing Korea service often instead with 80 plus ping and making Europe the secondary server if the medal ranks in Korea is too horrible. What do you mean by that? I'm looking through your form right now here. Why do you usually VPN to European servers?
Because there is no games in my own country at my rank.
Right. So why that over the Korean servers?
Because sometimes Koreans, the way they weave, the way they weave their outs and their decision making is really puzzling.
Okay, in what way? Because I'm not super familiar with Korean servers, like how they function, obviously. So I'm curious.
So like maybe someone overextends and then one person starts dying, then they will start committing their outs
Mm-hmm.
at a very awkward time, and then you will just have a team fight loss. Or it's like last fight 20 seconds, last 20 seconds on attack. They would just like suddenly start dying one by one, and suddenly you have all your teammates dying.
Mm. Interesting.
Then there's no
Interesting.
last fight. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So that's is just the confusing play, confusing decision making. Why you generally avoid the Korean servers?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Interesting. So you're willing to deal with 90 more ping just to avoid some of that goofiness, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Interesting. And this happens even in Masters and GM.
Yes.
Okay. Weird. Very strange. Okay, let's keep looking through this form here. So, long-term and short-term goals in Overwatch. You talked a little bit about GM1 here. Right now, as of the form, which was a couple weeks ago, you said Masters 1, but where are you now?
Um, I hit GM2 peak yesterday. Now I'm at GM3. Just dropped down.
Okay, so not Masters 1 anymore. So long term is all three roles Grandmaster and above, while short term is having base skill hitting GM1 on tank consistently. Tank is your more important role, yes.
Yes.
Where are your support and DPS right now?
Master 5.
Okay, Master 5. So we have to, you want to try and get support and DPS to GM and then tank to GM1. Is that kind of like the long term goal?
I think I will get tank to GM1 first.
Okay. GM1 tank first, so we'll focus on that. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's going to be a little bit harder to work out all three roles at the same time. So put emphasis on one. That's good. Okay, let's keep looking through this here. So, what does your training schedule look like currently? How much rank do you play? Do you take any days off? Do you warm up? How much DPS and support do you play? How much tank do you play, percentage wise? What do you think?
Percentage wise, I think around one season I'll play around like 5% DPS
Mm-hmm.
and support, then 95% tank.
Okay, that's good. Okay. And then how much do you play on average per day? Do you take any days off? And so on.
Now I'm working. I usually take about 2 to 3 days of break per week.
Okay. So you're playing
I
four or
used to
five
grind all
days.
day.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then how much do you play per day? I think I interrupted you. And then how much do you play per day? I think I interrupted you.
around 2 to 3 hours now.
Okay, 2 to 3 hours. Mm, hmm. It's gonna be hard to get to GM1 with that. I think it's potentially possible, but even if we say 5 days per week, 3 hours per day, that's still only 15 hours a week. Maybe we can do it, but it's gonna be tough. Maybe if we have like really good specific goals for you to practice, and then whenever you are practicing, obviously you're giving it your 100% best, then I think it's possible. It's just going to be hard. So we will see. For GM1, I would say for most players, even with one role, it'd be closer to like 20 hours a week, playing every day, 3 hours, or playing longer. But I think it might be possible. Let's just focus on like what we need to do. If that's kind of where your cap is right now with you working, then we'll have to make work with that. But if there was a way for you to take like no days off, but on the 2 or 3 days that you normally don't play, if you could play like an hour, play like 1 or 2 games even, that would probably be the first thing that I would suggest if you have a little bit of extra time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Just find out how serious you are about getting it. There's nothing wrong with being GM2 or GM3. You're already great at the game, or GM4 or whatever. But just if you want to make that extra little bit of push, that's probably the first thing I would look at with training time. And then also looking at your hero pool here. I don't know if this has changed, but you say your hero pool and ranked is everything except for Doomfist and Junker Queen, which is good because those are more mechanically weird heroes. But that is still a lot of tanks to play for only 14, 15 hours per week. How much of the percentage of each tank are you getting per week on average? Is like 40% Ramatra, 20% Winston? What is it usually?
I feel like I'm getting around 40% Winston, 20% bot, 20% Diva. Sometimes I'll swap to Sigma or Zarya.
Okay. So 40% Ramatra, you said?
Winston.
40% Winston, 20% Diva, 20% Ball, and then a little bit of Sigma Zarya, but you're not currently playing much Ramatra?
No.
Okay. That's okay in terms, like, you're still playing, I think, too many heroes for how much time that you're playing, but at least they're all dive heroes, right? So at least there's some sort of carryover there, I guess. I don't know. I would try, like, I understand that, like, if you're on Circuit Royale, right, you feel like you have to play Sigma or something like that. But I wonder, it would be optimal if you could. I don't know how important it is, again, for GM1. But the optimal thing for you to do would be, like we talked about, trying to play a little bit on the days that you're not playing at all. But then the next important thing for me would be to try and shift your specialty to Winston Diva or Ball Diva or Ball Winston rather than all three. You're going to play a little bit of Sigma Circuit, whatever. But I think if you could just really put extra time in on just 2 of the dive tanks instead of all 3, that would be the next thing that I would try to do to help make that extra push to GM1. I don't think there's going to be a lot of times where, like, oh, Ball is impossible to play, therefore I will play Winston. I think if you were able to play 2 out of those 3, you'll probably be able to have a swap just in case things get bad, but you'll still have enough, get that extra couple of games on those heroes to get that much better at them mechanically. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So again, it's just about, like, what are you willing to compromise to get to GM1, and I think that's a question you're gonna have to answer. And again, this is your call. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just offering a little bit of advice, and then you can kind of sit and think on it, and you make a decision about what you want to do. Right? Okay. Sleep looks okay. What do you hope to get out of the session? You say have a better understanding of team composition and to be able to better adapt to situations on the fly with playstyles and certain picks, especially in Korea service where there's a barrier in communication. Can you elaborate on all that a little bit? Have a better understanding of team composition, better to adapt to situations on the fly. What do you mean by that? I kind of understand, but I want to make sure I fully understand.
Because when I'm usually playing in Europe, right, I can stick into like one hero and get the consistent amount of pressure on the enemy team. But however, in Korea servers, I feel like the moment I stop getting value, I have to swap off the hero to another hero that's more efficient to deal with the enemy's team comp.
Can you give me an example of that you can remember
So like
recently?
for example,
Even better if you have a
maybe
replay code that we look at later, giving an example of that. That would be even better. I don't know if you do, but that would be awesome.
like maybe like in their own team comps, like they are running the same tank as me and they are just getting more pressure and more consistent amount of damage onto me, then I'll usually swap into something that like counters them. So like for
Right.
example, they are playing Winston, I'll usually just play Diva to like deny their heals with defense matrix or try to like
Right.
get him away from our support.
Right. So you're like, we're playing mirror, it's not working. I go to rock, paper, scissors if I feel like I'm getting messed up, essentially.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like that more in Korea.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe it's the Korean players understand certain of those. Maybe it's not even a compositional thing. Maybe it's just like certain tanks that they're better at dealing with than you are, right? They're just better at. Maybe your Winston isn't that good, and so that's why you feel like Winston's good when I'm playing in everything but the mirror, and then I struggle. I don't know. We'll talk about it in the review, and I really, if you have a replay code where something like that kind of happens, that would be best to look at for our review in a second. Do you have one that you can think of? Or will we be
I do have replay codes.
Okay.
I need to browse through.
Yeah. Maybe you do that for a second. I'm gonna keep looking through your form here.
Yeah, I think this is one of them. Like this enemy's Winston just this enemy Winston is just doing much more than me.
Sure.
So I'll be able to stop off.
Sure. We can look at that if you'd like. I mean, if you're sure that Winston is something you want to look at, then let's do it. Okay. Before we do this though, let's finish your form. If this is the code that you want to look at, just shoot it my way. I mean, honestly, actually, you could stream it if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter to me. Let's just finish the form though, really fast. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? We talked a little bit about this just a second ago, but you say understanding. Is it the compositional stuff, or is there other understanding that you feel like you're lacking as well?
Understanding what to do at the moment.
Okay.
Like decision making, I guess.
And then you say also mentality sometimes when playing in Korea servers. We talked a little bit about the frustration of that. Is there anything else with your mentality that you feel like you're lacking?
Currently no.
Okay.
So not having that issue anymore.
Okay, so the Korean mental boom. Just focus on that.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll see what we can do. I mean, I don't honestly know. Like, I don't know exactly how to sympathize or relate with what you're saying because I've never played in Korean service, so I don't know exactly what's going on. But obviously, whenever you're not focused on your own play, then you're going to start getting distracted by your teammates. So in those moments, it's so important to have something that from your gameplay that we can focus on so that you're not thinking about the other things. Like if we talk about your positioning or decision making, focus on that. If the Korean players throw that game or they do something that throws you off guard, it doesn't matter. Focus on next game, you know? I mean, everybody knows that, but really trying to practice that skill is important. But okay. Any other questions or anything else we want to go over?
The way the Koreans use their Diva with their defense matrix and survive very long, it puzzles me.
Okay, in what way?
Like they can survive very, very long without dying.
Okay. They play well then. They juggle the matrix and their HP well. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if we get to that in the review, we'll talk about it. If you want to look at another code later that shows some of that, we could talk about that too. Maybe there's something to learn from it. But okay. No other questions?
Not really.
Okay. Let's take a look. My chair is stuck. Let's take a look at this replay code here. Do you want to stream it or do you want me to stream it? I don't care.
You can stream.
Okay. All right. Shoot me the code then.
Yeah.
Okay. This is that Blizzard World game? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, this is recent as well. Nice, so you'll remember. I think that's one of the good things about picking a recent game, is you'll remember exactly what went wrong. Let's change my settings here, 1 second. Okay, should see that. And then get the audio up just a little bit. Oops, let's get that to 8. Okay, and then this is you.
Yep.
Okay. So, what are the strengths of Winston? Very silly, stupid question, but very important we set the floor. What do you see? What is a hero
Jumping
good
the
at?
species.
Sure.
Jumping the species, disrupting the team.
Sure. What differs Winston from Wrecking Ball, though? Because Wrecking Ball and Diva can kind of do that as well, too. So what's the difference between Winston and Wrecking Ball?
Consistent diving.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to Wrecking Ball.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Like when Winston jumps, he has the bubble to like mitigate some of the damage from the enemies when he dives. While Ball has to wait for his adaptive shields to slam.
But don't you have to wait for your bubble to dive with Winston?
If you're diving on a full 5v5?
Sure. The way I look at it with Winston is when a Winston jumps in with bubble, he does a lot more than a Wrecking Ball. But then when the bubble's down, he has to be maybe a little bit more careful than a Wrecking Ball. Like a Wrecking Ball can kind of keep grappling and shooting and running around, right? But a Winston either has his bubble or he doesn't have his bubble, and that's pretty much it. That being said, when he does have his bubble, he's extremely strong, right? How about we compare Winston to Diva? What's the difference there?
Diva can just dive in and pressure a single target. And she can get off further back because she can get off like much later because she has like more armor.
Winston feels like he can do more, you know, but he's more not as survivable, right? Again, relying on that bubble. The other thing I'll say as well is sometimes I feel that when Winston jumps a squishy, there's more pressure of getting that kill when he has bubble. Whereas Diva can be more of an annoyance, but doesn't kill stuff quite as fast. But she's more survivable, right? Interesting. Okay. So when you look at their comp, what do you think you're going to be doing?
Probably gonna be trying to find a widow trying to snipe my backline while the Winston's trying to create space by disrupting my team.
If you can get onto Ana, Brig, Widowmaker, or even Torb without a Z, it's going to be great. You're going to create a lot of space. It's going to be about finding ways to get on top of those targets without taking too much damage, right? So, yeah, let's just take a look. If you have any questions, just let me know and we'll pause and we'll talk about it. All right?
Okay.
All right, let's take a look. So down our Ana, we're going to wait. We have a Kiriko, so we have lots of healing. Okay, we zone backline. We walk forward. Get out. Very nice. There's Torbjorn E. Now, here's the funny thing. If you look at this Winston, all right, he's diving outside of his Widowmakers and Ana and even his Torbjorn turrets LOS, right? So theoretically, he's not really a danger to your team. But do you see somebody on the enemy team who's overextended? Besides Winston?
The Brig.
Right, the Brig, right? Because she's trying to help Winston, but but again, these guys aren't able to help her as much. So I'm curious if we're going to recognize this. See, I think we're making a mistake here. So I see what you're doing. You think the enemy Winston has made a mistake. He's overextended, right? And now we can go in, right? But how long before he gets his next bubble? You see? 8 seconds. So for you, there's no super rush, right? We can walk forward now very safely. Our backline can without getting dove and get this to this position here. And then we can jump and bubble before their Winston gets bubble, correct? So I guess for me, it's like you jump in, but the problem is when you jump in here, look at your Sojourn and your Ashe and your Kiriko, right? They're not quite ready to follow up just yet. You've gone in a little bit too early, and you've gone in right after a Widowmaker headshot you as well, instead of just kind of stabilizing and then jumping forward. Because like, look, they're going to walk forward, and then now let's say you have jump and bubble. This would go a lot easier. Do you see that?
Yep.
I think we're rushing our cycle a little bit before our backline is in position to follow up, and that's we want to avoid that if we can. And that's what happens, right? So we go hyper aggressive, but we go aggressive too early, so we can't go aggressive very well. So our Soldier walks forward, and then you're out sooner than you should be because you jumped in earlier than you should have. And then even here, I don't like this here. You know where the rest of the enemy team is, right? They're going to be walking forward. So if nothing else, what's the best thing that you could do to help your backline right now?
Do not engage.
Right, to not engage. Or if you're going to shoot somebody right now, who should you be shooting? Where's that Brig? Where's that Widow? Where's that Ana, right?
I'll go for the break.
You see? You see? Even just sitting here, and you don't want to engage, but you could, if this Widow like peeks, shoot a right click at her, right? Make sure that she can't follow up on the Winston engage. Just that 50 damage will matter a lot more than the damage you're doing to the Winston here. You're not very good in this 1v1. You only shoot Winston when there's literally nothing else to shoot, right? There is something else to shoot without you jumping. You need to make sure this Brig and this Widow do not follow up off of this Winston engage. That's how you help your backline, right? You're not Diva, right? You're not Roadhog. You have to prevent the follow-up to the dive, not the dive itself. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because this just doesn't matter. And in fact, you end up probably taking more damage than you would have if you just sat here and shot Brig or shot Widow. I mean, look at this. Look at this. She should not be allowed to do this. I'm not saying jump in, right? You need to be careful, but you also could have zoned this so much better. And then you die as a result. So that's the other thing too, is if you're not looking at their backline when their Winston jumps, their backline will sneak up on you and kill you just like they did there. Okay, let's keep going. We shoot Widow or Winston because there's nothing else to shoot, right? He will leave. Ooh. Ooh. Brig is out. That's an unfortunate nano. That's okay, we can still get follow-up. Very nice. Very nice jump. Full zone backline. There, Winston jumps back. But look at how much space your team has now. You see this? This is brilliant. This is really good. All right, so now we just need to survive. Honestly, don't worry about it. This fight, good fight. Nothing you can do about it. And this is how fights are going to go in ranked, right? Korean service, European service, it doesn't matter. Some fights, you're going to mess up and your team's going to lose the fight because you messed up. We've seen a couple of those, right?
Yep.
Then you're going to have a fight like this one where you did a good job. You timed it well. You zoned backline. You didn't feed. You baited a sleep dart. You survived. You gave your team all the space. And they died to, I don't even know what they died to. I don't even know how your Sojourn died. But that's okay. You did your job. Go next fight. Be consistently good and you will consistently climb. They did use Rally and Nano and Primal and Sights. So maybe we win this one. Good. We could shoot Winston because, again, nothing else to shoot, right? So it's totally fine. Now, I wouldn't say a bad Winston, but a not very good Winston would jump this Widowmaker. Why would that be not very good right now?
My team is like not able to follow up.
Correct.
And the Drake will probably armor pack.
Correct.
The Widow all the way.
Correct. You're not playing for the kill, but even just to distract the Widow, it doesn't really matter right now because your team is all the way in this choke. So you could maybe throw some right clicks at her to force her back. Maybe you jump her, but very carefully, right? You just get her out, right? We don't really go for the kill. We're trying to get our team to walk forward a little bit more before we commit our jump. So let's keep... Even this right here obviously isn't maybe good, but as long as we don't overextend, this is all right. I think we're just a little bit late on the bubble. Because if you're gonna jump like this, you know you're gonna have to bubble, right? It's gonna have to happen. Otherwise, you'll get slept or naded or body shot by Widow, or Torbjorn will shotgun you, and you're gonna die. The other problem is, as well as you see here, if you bubble late, look at your armor. Bam, now we have to run. If we had bubbled earlier, we could have stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed and then disengaged. You see? Okay. Good. Good. Nothing else to shoot but Winston. Look for this Brig, though, if we can. There's a Widow. Get her. This Widow is getting us. Nice. Going on the Brig. Nicely done. Nicely done. Oh, we almost had the right click. Okay, we needed to play that right click a little bit better with the Widow, the Ana, excuse me, so we don't die here, right? So theoretically, can hit the right click from here. She dies, and then we can jump out to safety, right? But we win this, maybe. Maybe. Oh no. Good. All right, we got it this time. Good bubble. Widow tries to shoot. We block it. We get the touch. Maybe go back in now. Oh, no way we win this. Oh, we get the res. Don't shoot the Winston if we can. Don't shoot the Winston. I think your team is walking in front of Widow here. I would probably ignore the Winston and go for the Widowmaker now, right? Because you're thinking, oh, I can avoid the Widowmaker and shoot the Winston, right? Right. However, this Widowmaker is right here and she's shooting your team. You need to prioritize this target here instead of shooting the Winston. So right here, get her. Yes. Nice. I will say as well, in terms of mechanics, I think we can be a little bit cleaner. So like right here, she grapples up. That needs to hit, you know? Right, just little things like that, right? Just little things like that. It's a good thing to practice. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing so far. You let me know what you think. I think we could do a little bit better job thinking when we can need to shoot the enemy tank and when we can dive the backline instead, or shoot the enemy backline instead, even if we just right-click the backline.
Right.
Playing around like our team's sightlines, like where my team is positioned. And I also think sometimes that we bubble a little bit too late and then end up taking so much damage that we have to run away. What do you think?
I think those are pretty accurate points, but I think for the first point, right, I think it could be a bad habit, like during the start of Overwatch to, like, when Winston was the solo tank, right, I find like I usually lose team fights not focusing the Winston because my team generally can't deal with one Winston. Yeah.
Potentially. My concern with that, though, is that, again, it kind of comes down to what plays to your hero's strengths. You do so low DPS to his bubble and to him that you might feel like it's the Winston killing your team, but more often than not, maybe it's the Winston getting the final blow, but it's the backline that's healing the Winston, or the backline that's hitting the bot, even the Widow hitting the body shots, because the Winston is distracting everybody, right? So yes, there are going to be fights where if you focused Winston, you will win. Yes, but at that point, you might as well just play Diva, because the majority of the time, I feel that's going to be the Onanade, the Brig packs, the soldier damage, the Widow body shots, the Onanades that are going to follow up. If you want to focus Winston and win the frontline trade, you should not be playing Winston. There's nothing that Winston does on the enemy Winston that's better that a Diva couldn't do. Even bubble to protect your team while he's diving, Matrix just does that better. And you can micro missiles while you're matrixing, right?
Right.
So if you feel like the enemy Winston, like you're playing versus Fearless and he's actually really the one killing your entire team, like mechanically he's just so good, then you need to go not Winston and play Diva, something that can actually punish the Winston. Otherwise, I think that you need to, okay, if the Winston by himself kills your backline, then you do the same to his backline, right? With Winston, focusing Winston, unless there's literally nothing else to shoot, that's just not going to be the case as much. Sometimes it might be the case, but most of the time, we don't want to play with what's going to win this game or that fight. We should have focused Winston. We want to develop good habits for 100,000 games, right? That's just how Overwatch works. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let's keep watching here. Because they're on Soldier now, which is another good dive target for you. And this is where, like, again, where like I imagine we're probably gonna get slept here. This is kind of like what we saw a little bit earlier, where you're pushing up, you're diving, you're going aggressively, but we know where our team is, right? We know where our team is. We know that this cannot work because our team is not here to help us control this space. So it doesn't matter if you're creating space if your team is in spawn, right? You got your soldier literally in spawn. Your team is just now starting to push payload. This cannot work. This just cannot work. And you probably should have died for that. It was a big brain play. You baited their monkey to use bubble. Nice job. Now we use sleep dart and bubble. Nice. That was very smart. Nice job. Okay. Nice. A little bit of mechanics here too. So right here, one of two things.
Yeah.
Either reload, right? Or charge a right click for the soldier. Right?
Right.
You don't do either.
Oh.
That's unfortunate. Nice! Very good. But what is going on with the Torb turret? Did you see Torbjorn turret?
Wait.
What? What is it chewing?
Wait, what?
I think this is a bug where it goes to the respawn point. It goes to like a random point in the map and it like... Yeah, just here, I guess. Weird. I've seen that happen with Symmetra turrets in my VODs too. I don't know why it happens. Now, right now, shoot Winston, right? Nothing else to shoot. But in my mind, I'm also thinking we almost have bubble. You can see the heal shot, right? If you want to kill Winston, zone the Ana, right? As soon as we get our bubble. So you bubble off his heals, which is fine. But why even bother bubbling off his heals? Just go kill the Ana. You know what I'm saying? Because like here it is, right here, Nano Primal. You know? And not only that, but this Widowmaker is able to control and contest space by herself as well. I mean, I don't know if you could have gotten to her. She's probably too far away. But something to think about. Something to think about. It's like this is the problem with only jumping or dealing with Winston. Because as you see, why you lose this fight is this, right? She should have been back here running from you, not even able to nano. And the other reason is she's just able to just play wherever she wants, right? And you're still zapping that Winston though, right? Yeah, I don't know. Something to think about. Okay. We're definitely seeing some mechanics that could be better, right? But I don't think it's just mechanics, you know. I think it's more than that. Oh, bless. Oh dear. Ooh, no. Nice. Get rid of him. Very good. Don't chase. Okay, you can see your team, right?
Yep.
Now it's time to go. So we can go take this fight with the soldier or Ana. Yep. Yes. Very nice. I mean, look at this. This is good. There's nade, there's visor, there's healing, there's soldier damage. Nothing. Just Winston by himself, right? Useless. Very good. Look at that. Easy. You kind of see that? See how helpless that Winston was there? All of his team's abilities were just completely blocked off. There's another nade. Go to high ground as soon as you can. Yeah, or this. Winston's in. Now, where is your team right now? Let's go back to here. Okay, so our team is here. Should you dive right now?
Not really.
Why?
My team is like not able to help me or something.
When would you dive? Let's just keep playing and tell me when would you dive. Now maybe?
I think Yeah, no.
Now maybe, yeah. Now maybe now, yeah. I mean, we can also think about like Bastion turret form as well. That's another thing to consider. But yeah, I think that would be a good time to jump. Like when their Winston goes in your backline, you make sure that he can trade safely because you have primal, right? So you make sure that Winston doesn't get follow up, and then your team can push up and help you with your primal. But the problem here, as you've seen, is you jump a zone a Widow when that Widow doesn't really she shouldn't really kill anybody in your team with where they're positioned, right? If she does, your team sucks. It's unfortunate. Go next fight. It happens, right? Unlucky. But the problem now is you're zoning Widow and she's just not a threat, right? This is good. This is good time though. But we would have liked to have had a jump and a bubble and then primaled afterwards, right? But this should work. I think this might work. Oh no. And that's the problem, right? Like we were so close to having just enough resource or primal or bubble to win, but because we go like literally 4 seconds, 5 seconds too early, we needed 4 or 5 seconds extra and we didn't have them. But you understand what I'm saying, correct? Like it's just a matter of using your resources when your team can actually follow up. Even if they can't follow up on the same targets, they can kill the Winston because he's by himself. So let's write in your channel here, Winston. What are some things? What are some skills that you need to practice with your Winston? What are some things that you need to improve with your understanding?
Dive backline instead of pressuring the enemy Winston.
Avoid. Tank. Even like what tank can you do very good as versus Winston? Maybe Sigma. Maybe like you could bubble off a Sigma and kill a Sigma pretty easily. I think that might be it. I don't think there's any tank that you do well versus Roadhog, Ryan, Zarya. Maybe Zarya without a bubble. Maybe. Avoid tank line usually when you can. Unless literally nothing else to shoot. And if there's literally nothing else to shoot, that probably means that tank is feeding, right? He's way overextended or she's way overextended and you can kill them with your team, right? Okay. What else are you saying being something that we need to practice with Winston?
Diving when my team is able to follow up my dives.
So how do you do that? Because you're not stupid, right? You're smart. You understand that very easily. So why do you think you were not doing it in this VOD?
I didn't want the enemy Widowmaker to be clicking the hits the moment she respawned.
Right. And I understand that, right? It feels like you have to go early and often, but sometimes you just have to roll the dice a little bit, so that because you saw it that last fight, you lost because you went early. And we saw it another fight as well. You almost lost or should have lost because you went early. So maybe a little more patience around your team's positions. Even if that means occasionally they win a fight because a Widowmaker gets a really early pick, unfortunately, that's just how the hero works, right? You just have to do your best and make sure that you are providing pressure when it actually matters. Okay. Anything else? Like, let's think mechanics. Are there any things that you could have been doing better?
Probably charging up my right click while jumping a target, preferably a squishy target.
Just get in the habit, right? I think right click is a huge thing to practice. Okay. Those 3 things I think are good to practice for you. Do you have any questions so far?
Not any at the moment.
Okay. Let's keep going. I'm excited to look at some Diva play here. Is this all Diva here?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Now, it's funny because we have, I wouldn't say, we're not doing the opposite of what we did earlier, right? Diva is not only shooting tank line, but it's not like Winston, right? Like you look at the enemy Winston, when I was working with Boger, who's, I'm sure the EU Winston, right? So he was saying that he thinks Diva is the best Winston counter in the game, right? Because you can always mark and always match him. So for you, now all of a sudden, shooting tank line might be really, really good if your team is with you, right? That might be really, really good. However, it's not always that simple, is it? Do you see?
Yep.
Do you see the comp, right? You have a lot of jobs. You can dive Ana. You can mark and clear Sombra. You can dive Widowmaker. And you can mark Winston. So how on earth do you know what to do in each situation? How do you decide?
I usually just mark the tank because whatever squishies I dive in a 5v5 setting, the Brick and Ana is just gonna pocket the person out.
Sure. But is that still good value though? If I dive the Widowmaker and Ana and Brig peel the Widowmaker and the Widowmaker looks at me, is that good value for my team?
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes. Would you do better by shooting the Winston bubble instead and killing him faster instead of denying his resources? I don't know. It depends, doesn't it?
Yep.
So once again, the question is how do we decide on what to do? How do we decide about whether it's better to clear a Sombra or shoot Winston bubble or mark Widow shots and Ana nades, right? Here's a little tip, okay? This isn't going to make it easier. You're still going to have to develop the skill by practicing this hero a lot. But one way to help you make that decision is you ask yourself, which of those targets is playing the most aggressively? If you're on attack here, or defense, and this Widowmaker grapples up to this high ground and you're playing on point, this is a priority, right?
Right.
She's stupid. She's way, way aggressive. And if you do not fly to her, she will kill your team. If you're playing here, and their backline is way over here, and their Winston dives up top onto top of you, shoot the Winston. This is too aggressive, right? He's overextended, right? If this Sombra gets scouted right before the Winston jumps and starts shooting your backline, she's too early, isn't she? She's too aggressive, right?
Yes.
So go get her first. That's kind of what we're looking for. When we think about Diva, it's about thinking about who's playing too aggressively and then punishing them. And if they all play aggressive at the same time, just make a decision and stick with it, right? Do the best that you can. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
That decision making is what makes Diva really, really difficult, right? But like even right here, it's like shoot Winston because there's nothing else to shoot. But then as this Ana walks forward aggressively for nade, this is too aggressive for an Ana right now. So I hope that we're able to eat the nade here. I don't think we're going to, but it's something that we'd like to be able to do.
All right.
Right? And there it is, you know? This is fine. There it is. Very good. Too aggressive for the Sombra, right?
Yep.
Way too aggressive. What do you think? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Could she land a nade from here? Yes, absolutely. But maybe fly up here, shoot the Winston, and maybe look for nade mid-fight. But this Winston is playing too aggressively. This is the priority, I think, here. I actually think now you're babysitting on the Ana too much, right? When the Winston is very aggressive. Okay. Oh, definitely shoot Winston now. Right? You look at this here, like look at Sombra, look at Winston, who do we shoot, right? It's pretty easy, right? Just shoot the Winston. Use his missiles as well if you want. Okay, now we back off. I will say here, minor thing here, what's your mistake right here? Do you know where your team is positioned right now?
Back at the point.
Back at point. So what should you do immediately right now?
Drop the Winston and back off.
Right, exactly. But we're just a little slow. And I think that last shot especially, we just get a little too low, right? We take about 100 too much damage. Just a minor thing, but important because it's what's going to keep you in your armor, right? We want to preserve that.
Right.
Now, this is the moment of truth. What do you think?
Shoot Winston.
Shoot Winston, right? Now, I actually wouldn't be too mad if you shot Sombra and Brig because they're playing very aggressively too. I honestly don't know which one is better here. I think maybe the Sombra to prevent you from getting hacked and dying is probably the better play. But if you shoot Winston, that's okay. Just shoot him a lot. Okay. Yes. Now shoot Winston. Yes. Stay on it. I would stay on that Sombra, personally. I think she's playing way too aggressively. Give a tick, but get rid of the Sombra. You know what I'm saying? See, this is a mistake right here. This Winston and Sombra, very aggressive. I don't know why you even fly out here. Just stay on her. And then the Sombra is really low. She needs to go. She needs to get out, right? But you turn around on point. Why did you do this? Do you remember this game? I mean, it was only about an hour and a half ago. So what was your decision?
Yeah, I remember. When I dive in the Winston, I was expecting some follow-up from the enemy Ana to sleep dart me from behind. That's why I turned back.
Got it. So you tried to bait it. Okay. But obviously, like, once you're in here, it's not really a threat. The Sombra has to go. It's a little bit unfortunate. Okay, let's keep watching. Nice. Good. I mean, you're doing the right thing, right? You're never, ever letting these guys do anything, right? Yes, the Winston's on your backline, but don't let them do anything.
All right.
Ah!
Yeah, I've been getting sleep dart all day today.
Oh, no. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. Yes? Go find that Widow. That Widow and Ana are playing. That Widow is playing way too aggressively. You see this now? Who would you choose, Widow or Ana? Now you have to play around Sleep Dart, right? But Widow is the more important target, right? I mean, you could even do this here, fly up to here, right? Shoot the Widow from here.
Yeah.
You know, that would be a good angle, safe angle for you to play. Just a little bit sloppy, right? Maybe we okay? Oh, no! It's just a couple of silly mistakes, right? Just a little bit. You get a little bit too greedy in bubble. You don't take a good position, and then obviously this. Very unfortunate. Let's keep watching here. Oh, we get res. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. We just needed to decide, right? We just needed to decide. Because you use your boosters, you shoot, and then you're like, should I shoot Winston? Or should I deal with the Brig? We needed to pick. We needed to be decisive. We need to be decisive with what we want to do. We could fly in Widow here. We could fly in Brig. We could fly in Widow, but we just needed to pick. Oh, no. Disaster. Okay. Let's keep watching here. Surely we see some more stuff here. They're in Cassidy now. Again, another hero that you can deal with if they play too aggressively. Do you have any questions so far, by the way? I can't hear you. Do you have any questions?
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to like decide who to focus.
Right.
First.
Right.
As Diva.
Right. Well, we have to look at the aggression. That's the number one thing that we talked about, right?
Yep.
And then we also have to think about cooldowns, right? So the Ana Sleep Dart was affecting how we were doing things. The hack was affecting how we were doing things. Maybe even like the Winston bubble, right? A Winston without bubble is a little bit more attractive. So for you, what I think I'm seeing a little bit is maybe we're not considering aggression enough, but I think also we're being a little bit indecisive. I think you sometimes think about a lot of things and you don't know what to do. You don't know whether to deal with Ana or Widow or Winston or Sombra. And so we don't really do any of them, right? We just kind of stand there, right? The best Diva play you did was when you sat here on Ana and Widowmaker and you did not let them do anything. You didn't even do anything, but that was the best Diva play that we saw. Would you agree?
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not very fun or flashy, but you were decisive and said, no, you do not do anything. I said right here, right?
Yep.
Some of the bad Diva play that we've seen is when things get confusing and you're not sure what to do, and so you don't really do anything. You get pulled in a lot of different directions instead of being very decisive in going for each play. So I think for you, the number one thing that you can do to improve this is, and this is really dumb, but practice. You just need practice. But we can make that practice more efficient by you thinking about how aggressive is this person playing, and then practice being decisive. this is the best play. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Don't be like, well, I don't know, like a little over here. Oh no, sleep dart. Oh no, the hack. Be a little bit decisive, right? Be confident, right? Because right now you are not practicing good Diva play. You're practicing crazy, half drunk, don't even know what's going on Diva play. Because you don't know what to do, and that's very hard to do as Diva, but you need to start trying to practice that just a little bit. Does that make sense?
Okay, gotcha.
Be a little bit more decisive and track aggression. Try and practice knowing where everybody is all the time. All you have to do is know where everybody is all the time, practice perfectly, use perfect mechanics, position perfectly, and use your cooldowns perfectly. Easy, right?
I guess.
Like even right now, like this is silly, right? This is silly. Nobody in that team is being aggressive right now. Don't peek. Don't peek. Just play around your team, right? This is where we are. We sit right here. We listen for Winston. We listen for Widow. We listen for Cassidy. We just wait, right? This is silly. Even this, you're thinking I'm marking Winston. No, you're feeding, right? You're feeding. Because it is easy for the enemy team to shoot you and force your matrix. Who else can they shoot right now? You see this?
Just me, yeah.
Just you. So don't peek. Just sit right here. I like this position, but I like this position, like here-ish, right? Even that, just really not necessary. Yes. Do you see this? This Cassidy is playing way too aggressively. Now, the enemy team is smart, because do you know who else is playing aggressively right now? 3, 2, 1. Oh, maybe not. They're not smart. 3, 2, 1, Winston. Okay, yeah. But who would you rather shoot, Cassidy or Winston, right? If they're both here, Cassidy, right? This is good. This is good. The Junkrat dies to Winston, but so will the Cassidy. This is good. Yes. Don't even need to go in here if you don't want to. You see what happened to that, Winston? Look at this. Heal me, right? Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Nice job. Very nice job. Very, very nice job. Get her. Nice. Good job. Very nice. And now they swap off Widow now. Look at that. Nice job.
Thanks.
Careful. 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh. You see? Careful. This is okay right now, but just be careful. We need to fly back up and play around our team's positioning, right? Oh no! Disaster. It's actually funny though, because this is the same thing that we saw with your Winston, right? Remember? The same thing. You didn't know where your team is set up. You don't know where your team is set up. You overextend. Yes, you got a little bit unlucky with the sleep dart, but actually the reason why you got sept is because you were just not positioned well, right? You need to know these things. And that's it. Like, we lose the fight to that right there. Maybe, or maybe our team wins. I think our team wins. Now, though, now we're up here, right? So maybe this is okay. Maybe.
Yeah. Should be diving the Winston. I think this is fine. Wait, isn't this fine?
She's gonna blow!
Should be going on a Winston. Should be looking at where my team is set up. And probably just stay here without picking. Oh yeah. I think I should have stayed high ground without picking there. I should be going either on the Ashe or the Diva here. Hmm. Yeah, I'm out of my teammates' line of sight. Oh, feel for Diva, I need to play around my teammates' line of sight. Then, as you mentioned, like the general rule of thumb, like to mark against aggressive enemies as the first priority. Try not to try not to pick so as I don't waste resource. So that I don't waste resources. Be more decisive on Diva, like which enemy that I want to mark and focus on. Probably do not in onto a squishy DPS when they are running a brick anacom. I think that's about it.